Good
こん
evening.
ばんは。すいません。遅くなりました。ありが
Thank
とうご
you
ざいます。待っていただ
for
いて。ありがとうござい
waiting
ます。
for us. Thank you for understanding the necessity to just delay by a few minutes. I've just come home.
今、おかえりなさい。今帰ってきました。バタバタでしたね。3人の先生の方待ってて、ありがとうござい
Thank
ま
you
す。
very much.
いつもありがとうございます。
Thank you for joining us again on this warm,
うん。
balmy
うん。
Tuesday evening.
そうそうそう。いつもはね、木曜日なんですけど、ちょっと木曜日、私が東京にいないので、
Right. Well, no, last Thursday I wasn't able to make it.
そうそうそうそ
So we postponed it to today. Again, thanks for joining us. The chat box is on, open and working. So let us know who you are, where you are, how you are doing this wonderful, wonderful Tuesday, March 30th.
う。そう、最後ですね。
Yes.
なんかね、もう今桜も綺麗に咲いて、先生方もおそらく、卒業式が終わってね。
Mm.
で、次は入学式の準備をしている先生もいらっしゃるかもしれないし、で、また、このね、4月から新しく教室を始めるとか、ね、クラスが始める先生もいらっしゃって、その準備をされている先生もいらっしゃるかもしれないですね。
It's an unbelievably busy time of year.
うんうん。
So if you're joining us, thank you again. All our YouTube videos are available for watching later.
そうそうそうそう。あと
So
ね。うん。
if you are watching this later, hi, thanks for watching, and we hope
い
you
つもありがとう
enjoy.
ございます。
Hope you enjoy this evening's discussion.
そう。で、今日はね、ちょっと LINE でも書いたんですけど、マシューが15年勤めたスクールをですね、いよいよ辞めることになりまして、で、今日がそのね、最後のレッスンで、で、明日がね、tomorrow is just 30th, right?
Tomorrow's the 31st.
31st、そう、31st は、プリスコのグラジュエーションがね、
Yes.
あって、マシューも卒業っていうこと
Yes.
に、ね、なります。
Yes. Today was my last official day of teaching.
そうそう。で、マシュはね、実際に子供に英語を教え始めたのは 96?98?1990
Sorry, what was it? What was the question?
When
When
did
did you first start teaching?
Yeah, yeah.
96.
96
95.
95年からね、教えてるので、26年。
Yes.
マシュの指導経験っていうのは26年になるんですけど、そのうちの15年をね、それまではほとんど、公立の小学校とか、まあちょっとまあプライベートがあったり、本当にちょっとイベント的なところでね、教えたりすることあったんですけど、一つのスクールに属して教えるっていうのは、今のスクールがね、一番長い15年。
Yes.
だから結局26年でも半分以上になったね。
Yes.
うんうん。
And it's been what a fantastic 15 years it has been.
うん。
Totally fantastic.
そうね。
Now, I ended up going to that particular school because Hiromi and I had been working together
うんうん。
for 2 years, 3 years, 2 years.
2 years かな。
2 years together
Mm.
at the public elementary school level in
Mm.
Arakawa, and
Yeah.
it was a wonderful, wonderful experience that we still cherish to this day.
うん。
Then Hiromi left that environment, and
Mm.
I was left to carry on
うん。
with a new advisor
うん。
for one more year,
Mm.
and I lost quite a degree of motivation after Hiromi left it,
うん。
which you would. If you're working with someone like this, it's very hard to work with anybody else in the same position.
どういう意味だろう。まあ。
So, yeah, I mean, full credit to the advisor that I worked with,
うん。
or the advisors
Mm.
that I worked with after Hiromi left
うん。
Arakawa,
Mm.
but it wasn't very motivating for me.
Right.
And the school that I ended up going to were looking for a teacher.
Right.
And was it Apricot's
Yes.
recommendation? Apricot told them
そうそう。い
that
や、実はね、 私も呼ばれてたんだよね、そこに。だけど、私はそこに行かないっていう選択をした。でもまだそれでも先生募集してたから、で、まあ正直ね、そのマシュのモチベーションもそうだし、まあパブリックスクールで働くってなると結構入札があったりとかね。
That's right. That was another reason.
そうそうそう。どんなにいい教育をしてもね、結局値段で決められちゃったりするところもあったし、でもその段階でもマシュは11年公立にいたから、もうやっぱプライベートの経験をした方がいいって私言ってたんだよね。
Right.
もうそろそろ。で、しかもずっと小学生だったから、まあちょっと一時中学生もあったけど、幼稚園で教えるっていうことを経験しないと、先生としてダメだよって言ってたんだよね。
そうだ。
そう。
そうだ、
で、幼稚園で教えられるようになったら、児童英語の先生って言えるみたいなことを言ってたんだよね。
そうだった。
で、私がその幼稚園で教えてた時に本当に大変だったから、小学校でどんなに経験があっても、幼稚園で教えた時にもう本当に打ちのめされちゃって、ダメだみたいな。しかもほら、スクールでね、幼稚園っていう課外だったから、一クラスにも20人ぐらいいるようなところだったんだけど、20人で1人のその幼児をやるっていうのは、クラスマネジメントにおいても、いろんなことですごく鍛えられたっていうその思い出があったから、いや、あれはやっぱちょっとやっといた方がいいよって言っててね。
Yeah. かおり先生、good evening.
かおり先生どうも。で、それで、まあ、そういう先生募集、プリスクールの先生募集してるし、で、とりあえず2年ぐらいはいたらいいよって、2年やれて嫌だったらやめればいいけど、とりあえず幼稚園みたいなプリスクールの経験はしといた方が絶対自分のスキルのためにいいからっていう話になって、で、ちょうどそこを募集して、そう、マシは全然やる気なかったんだよね。やだ、もうやだ言ってて。で、その時ね、子供好きじゃなかったし、小さい子とかすっごい興味なくって。だけど、
1年生 was hard enough. Like, why do I want to go younger than 1年生?
いや、でもそこを経験しないと、やっぱりちょっと、先生としてもったいないって思ってたから、それで、ちょうどプリスクールね、ベーカンであるんだったら、いや、まし、just go for it. You should go.
That's right.
って言ったんだよね。そうそうそう。
Now, she kept, like, pushing me to take this position.
Go.
And I kept like, no. But she said things like, well, yeah, if you want, if you want to develop as a teacher, and
you should just experience it.
You should just experience it. All good teachers will try to go for as many experiences as possible. Matthew, that kind of thing. So I thought, if I don't go, then she's going to like lose respect for me.
やらないんだって感じ。
そう。
やらないっていうことがあるのみたいな感じ。
So it was a very...
つこ先生、こんばんは。
つこ先生。It was a very tricky situation for me because I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to go, but I didn't want to lose her respect. So I went for it. Now, I was as nervous.
Yeah. もうすごいお腹壊してたもんね。
I was so nervous. 11 years at public elementary schools did not prepare me for anything. Now, what struck me, see, in the elementary schools, Japanese public elementary schools, I felt my role.
いいの。かおり先生、いいの。いや、いいの。そう。
Yeah, no, I think it's fine. We're just relating what Hiromi told me. Maybe I don't know if she even meant it now. She was just trying to like kick me into there. こんばんは。
かぜ先生。
かぜ先生。
そう。いや、いいのよ、かおり先生。そうじゃなくて。
そう。
その経験をね、ここまでやってるのに。
She was like, that's what I needed.
そう。
That's what I needed. That's what she really felt. I don't think she feels that all teachers need it, but her wording was that way. So, when you're working in public elementary schools, I felt that my job and my role was to give kids an opportunity to use English.
Right.
okay, at the public elementary school level. I was the only person there who could do it.
Communication ね。
Communication in English. Now, when I got to the preschool, the kids were already fluent.
そうね。
I'd be like, I first met my students of all places.
ちなみにね、そこのプリスクールは、全部ミックスエイジなんですよ。ね。ミックスエイジだから、ゼロスタートの子があんまりいない。ゼロの子ばっかりじゃなかったじゃない。だからフルエントだったって意味でしょ？
Yes, I'm not. Yeah, at the time there were 3 basic classes in the preschool. There was a blue school, yellow school, and the pink school.
Ah, that's right. That's right.
And the blue school was like the really small kids. The pink school was the upper kids who were going into elementary school, and then there was a yellow school which was in between.
Right. あ、そうだそうだ。
So 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 and
That's
6
right.
years
That's right.
old at the time.
そうだね。そうだったそうだった。
So. There. So they weren't really mixed.
Right.
But I first met my students. I was told I was going to be teaching at the pink school, and my students were 5 and 6 years old. And I met them in the park because there was an event.
Right.
And they said, we're having an event next week. Can you please come?
Right.
And we'll introduce you to the parents and the kids there. So I was like, hello, what's your name? You know, like, how do you speak to kids younger than 1年生? Anyway, I had no idea. I'd never spoken to any kid under 7 years old, ever. Why would you? You know, I'd never spoken to kids that age, ever.
Right.
So I didn't know how to speak with them. And I was like, hello. And they're like, hello to me.
Yeah.
And I said, my name's Matthew. What's your name? It's like, oh, you know, my name's, you know, Yuto. Like, nice to meet you. And they're like, oh yeah, nice to meet you. Let's go and play over here. I was like, yeah. They were so fluent.
Yeah.
They were so comfortable using English
that
I suddenly felt myself out of a job. I'm like, well, what do I do? Because they are already using English. There's no need to give them any more opportunities because the whole day was, the opportunities were there. The environment was already there.
そうだよ、そこの子供はね、本当に2歳とかさ、本当にちっちゃい時から、そこのスクールに通ってて、もう2年ぐらい過ごしての、ピンクスクールだったりするからね。だから全く初めてって1年2年ぐらいもう英語だけの環境の中で育ってきてる子供たちだからね。
そうだったね。So I had no idea what to do, and that really made me even more nervous. What do you do? And I was working with another teacher because the teacher of that class was still there. So we were in a team teaching situation. Now, I had, well, basically, if you do a team teaching situation with any teacher whose thinking is different, it's always going to be hard. And I learned that the hard way. So his thinking and my thinking were completely different, and we got into a lot of arguments. We got into a lot of fights. Now, I didn't mean to fight. I'm not interested in fighting.
But he just wanted to ask a lot of questions. Why?
I was asking why. Because I had just come from 11 years in public elementary schools working with a group of teachers who I'd done all my development together with, and that's all we ever asked each other was why. What for? Why? Yeah. So I thought that was a very healthy way to
I think that's a basic.
Yeah. To start a conversation. But he took that as a judgment. And criticism. Which it was never intended to be. And he was like, look, Matthew, this is not public elementary schools. This is a business.
Just do it.
Just do it. You know, the parents need results.
そうだったね。
Yeah. And I was, you know, I didn't mean to upset him.
いや、そのリゾートでも何でも結局何のリゾートで何のためにってこう聞けば聞くほど
He didn't like it.
怒ってたね。
Yeah, or maybe he didn't have the answers either. He wasn't able to ask why or answer why. So, what for? So him and I did not get off to a good start at all. We had a rather dreadful first year.
最初ね、それがさ、ストレスでさ、毎朝行きたくないってってお腹壊したとか言っても気持ち悪いとか言っても子供みたいだったよね。でももう行かなきゃって。
So I remember I had these flashcards of, I often like to relate this story. I have these flashcards of sport names. Maybe the topic was sport. And I said, what picture card do you think I have? I have a sport card. And because me being me, I don't just show and, you know, I needed
Try to communicate.
just generate a little bit of interaction.
Right.
So I couldn't understand why the kids were going, soccer. Right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. And then I'll do the next one and they'd go, tennis. Right. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, the tennis, that's right. What about the next one? I don't think you're going to get this one. They go, golf. I'm like, how do you know? And that's because my team teacher was behind me doing the gestures. Doing a soccer gesture and a tennis gesture and a golf gesture behind me, and I didn't know. And so it was totally defeating what I was trying to achieve with the kids, you see.
Right.
There was no interaction.
あるあるだよね。残念だけどね。
そう。
せっかく隠してんのにね、ジェスチャーで落ちちゃうね。
だったらもう見せればいいじゃん。
だったらジェスチャーだけでいいじゃん。
そうなんだよ。
ジェスチャーだけでいいじゃん。
そうだよ。
What I'm playing みたいなね。
So,
anyway,
so that was just an indication of sort of how different our thinking was.
Right.
And it was difficult to talk with him.
Yeah.
Mind you, in saying that, ever since we stopped working, we've actually become pretty good friends.
そうだね。仕事が絡まなければ仲いいね。
We're okay.
仕事が絡むと本当に合わないね。
I haven't seen him for a while because he works somewhere else now. But yeah, we used to socialize a bit and go out for drinks and have dinner together and stuff. He's a good guy. He's all right guy. But yeah, we just didn't get along at all in our first year. So, but it seems that management recognized that I had some talent perhaps. And so they decided to split us and give that pink school class to me. I would be the main teacher.
Right. 最初はね、マシューがあまりにもさ、僕経験がないから子供もちょっとわかんないんでとか、できないとかわかんない、知らないとか結構ネガティブなこと言うから、もう、それはね、マネージャーはね、じゃあ、メインの先生がいるから、彼に全部教わってっていう感じで、もう、別にそんな深く考えずに、まず行って、彼の言う通りにやればいいからっていう感じで、言う通りにやろうと思うけど、でもやっぱりその reason が知りたいから、why を聞くと、アーギュメントになって、で、だんだん嫌になっちゃってっていう感じだったんだよね。だけどやっぱり、まあ実感が経つにつれて、だんだんこう、マシュもだんだん慣れてきて、で、それを見てたマネージャーがね、じゃあもうマシュ一人で
やってください。
やってくださいって言って、彼が、
He went to the younger kids.
そう。
And I think he was good with those. And the kids, the kids liked him and stuff. So then the second year.
こんばんは。
Good evening, Minori Sensei. So from the second year at that particular school, I became the main teacher.
Right.
And I started to really like it.
Yeah.
I started to really like it because now I could implement my thinking.
そう。結局さ、何が良くなかったかって言ったら、what for がないまま授業するっていうのは本当に苦しいよね。だって、what for がなかったら、何の準備をしていいか分かんないし、何をするかが分からない。で、how to のアクティビティだけあっても、これ何のためにやってんのって思うとさ、もう気もそぞろっていうか、コンセントレートできないしね。だけど、
What are we trying to achieve here?
Right.
What? Yeah.
でも、マシュが一人になったことによって、自分がこういう方向で行くって思えるからね。自分で準備するのもできるようになってね。だいぶ変わったね。
So I started to really enjoy myself, and the kids responded really well.
Yeah. すごく良かったね。
Yeah. And so that was 14 years ago.
Right.
So I've kept myself into that environment. Interesting how I was like, yada, 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 going in, but then ended up really liking it.
そう。面白いって言いましたね。
Now that was the preschool. 15 years ago when I joined this school, there were preschool responsibilities, but there was also afternoon elementary school kid responsibilities. Now this was also very new to me because I had been teaching elementary school in public elementary schools, not small classes
うん。
with kids who come every week
Right. Right.
um,
And a textbook.
with a textbook. I had never used a textbook.
うんうん。そうね。
How do you use a textbook?
うん。
So I had to get a little bit of training.
Right.
Ended up using Apricot's Learning World series.
うん、まあ、エンデルアップっていうか、もともとラーニングワールド使ってたけどね、
そうで
そこは
す。そうですね。So I've only ever used Learning World.
そうね。うんうん。
Um,
まあ、他のもちょっとあったけど、結局やめちゃったよね。ラーニングワールド以外のもちょっと試してみた時期もあったけど、結局ラーニングワールドに戻っちゃったね。うん。
to the point where eventually, I mean, maybe within the next year
うん。
of starting, Apricot Publishers asked me to co-present.
Yeah, I asked them.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You asked them to invite Matthew.
そう、マッシュを、アプリコットプラザだったかな。
So there was
ワー
a
クショップはね、まだマッシュダメだったから、
so
プラザの一コマね。
it was an event,
そう。
big event, yearly event,
Mm.
where teachers were invited to speak for like give a presentation for like 45 minutes or
結
something.
構5人とか6人とかたくさん先生たち呼んでやってるプレゼン、イベントがあったんだけど、その時に、マッシュがラーニングワールドを使い始めてた時だったから、で、その授業に関してはまだその慣れはなかったにせよ、もともと一緒に仕事をしてて、そのマシューのそのポリシーっていうか、そこの部分ってとっても大事だったから、そのポリシーを大切にした使い方っていうのを、やっぱり知ってほしいって気持ちがあって、で、頼んだのよね。
Mm.
マシューを一
呼ん
呼んでもらえないかって言って。で、私もその時別にやってたじゃない？
そう。
うん。で、マシューをその時に初めて渋谷の、もう覚えてるよ。
Yeah, I
渋
remember.
谷のね。でもあれは良くなかったね。あまりね。すっごい緊張しててさ。
I don't remember how the presentation went, but I do remember doing it.
私からするとマッシュの良さは出てなかったから、ちょっと残念だったんだけど、でもまあ、あの場に一回立ったっていうことで、まあ、良かったなと。今までほら、そういうのやったとしてもさ、すごい大きい規模だったしさ。で、しかも、今までは小学校の先生が対象だったけど、そうじゃない先生たちがいっぱい来る中で話すって、それはね、緊張することもあったと思うけど、でも、そう、覚えてるね。ブック3をやってもらったの。うん。
Yeah, so that was then the start, and then I think maybe I was given another chance to speak somewhere.
そうね、プラザでずっとマシューはやってて、で、私は先にラーニングワールドワークショップの方はやるようになってたのね。
Right.
で、しばらくしてから、一緒にやるっていう方向に。
Yeah, because by that time I'd been used to Learning World. I had lots of ideas that I had collected along the
そうで
way.
使い始めてやっぱ
Yeah.
結果も出てきてたからね。
Yeah, and of course I was sharing a lot of the ideas with
Right.
Jeremy, and he was like, "That's a great idea."
Yeah.
And
で、私も、実は、マシューのスクールに、教えに行ってたんだよね。
yes, why did you do that? You wanted the experience?
新しい先生がいて、全然テキストが使えなくて困ってるって言って、一回そのトレーニングみたいなのをやってたんだけど、もうこれ一回私入るわって言って、でまだね、リバイズする時だったから、その検証も兼ねて、私が実際に教えてみますって言って、
なるほど。
で、言ってたね。そう、ブック2のクラスだったかな。うん。そう。懐かしいね。
ね。
この T シャツ着てね。
そう。
違う、教室は別だったけどね。
ね。
私もここで教えてましたね。
Yeah, so then the afternoon classes started, and I really liked those.
Yeah.
Those kids were great, and there was no problem in keeping an all English environment there for both the morning and the afternoon. Several of the kids had attended the preschool in previous years, so the kids were fantastic. They just made you feel really at home and comfortable, and so two very different work descriptions. You've got your morning work description, which finishes at 2:30, then your afternoon work description, which began like at 3 or 3:30, into the early evening, late afternoon.
もうずっと教えてるもんね。
So, and it was very Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Very rarely Saturday or Sunday work unless it was like an event.
Right. そうね。
And they were good too.
Right.
Now, the manager, yeah, I get on very well with him, still get on very well with him. But of course, his thinking and my thinking are not the same. What I do like about him is that he does appreciate a variety of thinkings and approaches. And he gives, and he gives teachers the freedom to implement their approach, their thinking into their classroom for their kids.
だからスクールのポリシーっていうよりも先生にもう任せてるから、マシューはマシューで、まあそこの、まあ社員としてやっていても、好きなようにやらせてもらってたからね。
So that was really good. Nobody said, Matthew, you can't do that. The only thing he did say once to me was, please don't have the kids use the chairs as mini tables.
Right, それ言われたよね。あるじゃないですか、学校の椅子ありますよね、木の椅子ね。で、あれの幼稚園生版のちっちゃいのがあるんですけど、もちろん子供用の大きなテーブルもあるんだけれども、その小さな椅子をこう机代わりにね、使って、床に座って、その椅子の座るところをこうテーブルにしてね、よくアクティビティとかをしてたんですよ。それ小学校とかでもよくやってたし、だから、
いいじゃないかな
そうと思ってやったらね、すぐ怒られるね。
Yeah, 怒られて、he says, we've got tables, could you please use them? And I said, why? Why can't we use the chairs as mini tables? And he said, because it looks bad from the window. People walking by will think, oh, that school doesn't have tables. But then I told him, well, the reason I do it is because I don't want the kids sitting together when they're supposed to be talking to each other. They have to, otherwise they'll just look at each other. They don't need to talk.
Right. そういうインフォメーションギャップをするようなね、活動の時に、隣にいたら見た方が早いから、ちょっと話したいとか、ね。
I'm sure you've noticed that in your classrooms too. If you have kids doing pair work, often they won't talk because they just watch, they can see. They already have the information. They can see it next to them. And you're like, well, hide it. Well, it doesn't work if they're close. So that's why I did it. And in the end, he agreed with me. He was fine. He was fine.
そう。私覚えてるよ。怒られたっつって。
Yeah. Yeah, so it's been a really, really excellent 15 years. It almost feels like a work family. A family.
そうね。
The boss and I are very good. The other staff there are fantastic. But of course, like any family, you have your ups and downs. And I've had a few downs with them and with some big arguments. But we've always, and I've always stressed that's why I value my relationship with that particular place, because we've always talked through them and come out, you know, it's important to discuss things, but it's also important to be professional.
Yeah.
And so we recognize that in each other. And today was my last day there. And we have an excellent relationship.
Yeah.
Very often people finish their workplace or situation under not pleasant circumstances. Good evening, Shino Sensei. Right? There might have been an argument or, you know, some problem.
よく残ったよね、15年もね。長いよね。一つの学校に。
Yeah. お疲れ様でした。Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I got a lot of that this week. So, yeah, this week was basically finishing last lessons. Right? Every day is have different kids coming. So last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Today, Monday. Yesterday was Monday and Tuesday. So every day was kind of the last day for 5 days. Got lots of flowers. Lots of flowers. I got lots of flowers. Oh, who's that? Chino Sensei. And Chino Sensei, thank you very much. Yes.
いや、でもなんかさ、この間、ちょっと YouTube でも話したけど、その、ピンクスクールのね、子供がさ、もう19歳になってさ、この間あったじゃない
そ
で、もう19歳か、なんて言ってね、もう大人じゃない
Yes.
なんかそういうのを振り返るとさ、で、
Yes.
私も、その、一時教えてたけど、そのマシュみたいにね、毎日かかってたわけではないから、知らないこともたくさんあるけど、まあ、全部リポートが来るし、で、いろんな話もするし、でもなんかあった時にハローキッズに行ってたんで、まあ、アプリコットの教材使ってるスクールであるっていうのもあったし、実際にマシュの奥さんっていうのもあったし、で、まあ、行くことがあって、で、スクールのお母さんとかともね、なんか話したりすることもあったりして。で、娘たちも同じスクールに入れたから、またお母さんと話したりとか、で、授業見に行ったりとか、あと、ワークショップのためにビデオ撮りに行ったりとか。
Yes, that's right.
あと、なんか子供たちでちょっとね、難しいことがあると、私が代わりにね、マシュの代わり、授業の代わりに私が話しに行ったりとか、いうふうにしてたから、まあ知ってる子がすごく結構私も実際にね、会って、話してる子供たちもいっぱいいたから、
Yes.
ね。だからその中の一人がね、その19歳の子なんだけど、なんか小学校で運動会があるってなると、マシュ来てって言って。
Yes, we went to his 文化祭。
そう。運動会も行ったし、文化祭も行ったし、で、初めての彼女にも会わせてもらったりとかね。
そう。
なんか、ね、すごいね。
そう。
いい思い出がいっぱいね。
Yeah. So, well, today was, in fact, my last lesson today was with my high school kids.
Right. Yeah.
And yes, one of them is 17 years old,
right.
and she has been coming since she was 2.
Right. 2歳から来てさ、17歳とか言って。
So,
すごいね。
and the other guy has been coming, he's been coming like maybe 5 or 6 years as well. And so I had a good final lesson with them.
そう、なんかさ、ほら、見てて、なんていうのかな。私とかだとほら、小学校が長かったから、卒業しちゃって、ちょっと大きくなって久しぶりになんか声かけられて、うわー、大きくなったね、みたいな感じはあるけど、ずーっと見てるってすごいよね。
Right.
ずーっと見てるっていうのがね。
Right. Of course, I planned tonight's lesson well in advance. I knew exactly what I wanted to do for the last lesson.
Right.
And I actually prepared, last week's lesson was also related. There was basically 2 lessons. And yes, I thank you for understanding. I won't share you that particular idea here at this particular time. However, if you have joined Gorky, I will be sharing that idea in the junior high, high school, teenagers English education session. I will share that idea with you. Please look forward to it. But I also told them after the lesson we'd finished and that it was time to go home. And I said to them, listen, thank you for, I said, if anything, thank you for staying.
For a long time.
Yeah.
でも結局さ、でも思うけど、ハローキッズって小学生までだったじゃん。
Yeah.
マシュが入ってから中学生、高校生がのクラスができたのね。
I said it's easy to quit. It's easy to stop coming.
Right.
There's lots of different excuses and reasons why you could have stopped.
Right.
And a lot of your class friends in previous classes have all done that.
Yeah.
Right? Only you two have stayed. It's a bit like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You know that movie?
Yes.
Where all the kids, like 5 kids get golden tickets, but like one by one they all drop out except for Willy Wonka, the guy, for one boy. Anyway, so I said, good on you for staying. And I said, because I've always thought you should stay. I've had so many kids in junior high and high school tell me I'm leaving at the end of the month or whatever because I've got this, I've got that, I've got this or that or whatever. And I've always thought you should stay. You should stay. So, but these 2 students, they nodded their heads and they agreed that we stayed. Right. And then the mother, the girl.
Okay. Yeah.
The mother. she came to the door with flowers and like that.
Mm,
Yeah, she was crying. Mum was crying
Oh, really?
because she said, "You've looked after
うん。
my daughter so well
Mm.
for such a long time.
うん。
You have become like her mentor.
うん。
You've taught not just English, but
Mm.
like, yeah, how to relate to other
うん。
people.
うん。
You've been fantastic.
お
I
ー
can't thank you enough. みたいな。
おーおー嬉しいね。
そう
うん。
And yeah, so I've got a. What's this? A few things to show you. You're right. Can I show you a few things? So this was. This is from. Here's a thank you card from somebody else. Another junior
う
high.
ん。
Dear Matthew, 長い間本当にありがとうございました。
うん。
何々ちゃんにとってマッシュとの出会いは一緒の
宝物。
宝物になりました。英語が大好きになってもっとたくさん話したいといつも言っています。赤ちゃんの頃から何々ちゃんを持ってくれて心から感謝しています。Isn't that nice? That was from one of the mums.
赤ちゃんの頃からね。
So, and this is actually from that particular student.
うん。
I'll just cover the name there. Dear Matthew, thank you for 7 years. Thanks to Hello Kids, I love English. I will do my best to become a little bit better at grammar.
いいね。
そう
Become a little bit better. Yes.
A little better,
うん
yes.
Good, good, good.
Thank you very
うん
much.
うん。
という素敵なメッセージもいただきまして、
そう今ね、本当に帰ってきたばっかりだったからね。
そう。And this was nice.
うん。 うん。
I've got some things there. Have a look at that.
いっぱいあるね。今日だけでもね。
Dear Matthew, thank you for teaching me. You are the most good teacher that I know.
おお。
From now on, do one's best. Thank you for everything.
うん。
That's nice.
うん。
And one of the kids drew an amazing picture of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
you
really?
should see it.
見たい見たい。でもね、本当に帰ってきたばっかりだから、まだ見てないんですよ。
Sorry.
はい、ゆり先生。
Ah, this one. Here you are. Look at that.
おー、すごい
これすごくない？
上手かっこいい実物より。いやいやいや。あ、上手上手
いいよね。
見せて。すごいね。
Yeah.
Thank you for great, fantastic 5 years. あ
Right.
あ、right. すごい上手じゃない
Does that look like me? I don't do that, but that's okay.
Yeah. Cool. うーん。
Yeah.
いいね。
Yeah. Now, so,
うん。
oh, thank you very much.
ゆり先生、なんだ
Yeah, Yuri, thank you. Good evening. Yes, and we did promise that I was going to share a few things that I actually feel that I've learnt
うんうん。
from my 15 years.
Right.
And we'll get onto that very, very shortly.
うんうん。
But I have to tell you the story. So tomorrow is our graduation.
そうね。
And my current team teacher
うん。
said, I'm going to cry. And the kids were like, yeah, you're going to cry, you're going to cry, right? And they said to me, are you going to cry? And I'm like, no. I'm not going to cry. I never cry. I've never cried at graduation. I've come close, but I've never cried. No. And so one of the boys said, I'll bring onions.
かわいい。
Isn't that fantastic?
かわいい。何それ。
Isn't that amazing?
かわいい。
I'll bring onions.
To make Matthew cry.
Yeah. すごいよね。
すっごいかわいいね。
Yeah, preschool kid. Now, there's another story. This was last week.
Yeah.
One of the boys, actually the same boy that is going to bring onions tomorrow, okay?
Right.
He got a haircut,
うん。
okay?
うん。
And Me being me.
Right.
We were talking about haircuts, and I said to everybody in the class, I said, his name's Rin. I said, do you like Rin's haircut? And the kid's like, oh, yeah, it was great. And I said, he did it himself in the kitchen with a blender. Okay, and all the kids are like, ah, and he's like, no, I didn't do it, right? And one of the girls said, really? Wow. Did you put that on YouTube?
すごいね。今の子だね。
そう。
今の子だね。
すごくない？
すごい。
すっごい真剣に聞いてさ、Did you put that on YouTube? It was the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Right.
Could not stop laughing.
なんかそうやって変なことしたらもうすぐ YouTube に投げ投げっていう子ちゃん。かわいいね。面白いね。
そう。
へえ。
So, yeah, kids say some pretty amazing things. Unforgettable. I mean, that's...
本当に、もうさ、プレスクールの子供たちは本当に生き生きしてるしさ、私もなんかこう、見に行くと、いつもね、ゲラゲラ笑ってる。もうね、いつも笑ってる。もう本当に楽しそう。もう、てか本気で笑ってるもんね、先生の子供たちもね。
Yes.
もうゲラゲラゲラゲラ笑ってる。
Yes.
こんなに楽しい。
The teachers and us, yeah, we and the kids have laughed
a lot.
and laughed and laughed. So many funny things have happened or been said.
Right.
That, yeah, embrace every moment, embrace the work, embrace the kids' output. It's just fantastic. I often think, I was actually reminded on the way home tonight that as teachers, I believe we have the luckiest jobs in the world.
Yes. 本当だよね。
Because in our position as teachers, we can, we have the ability and the permission to create people in exactly how we want them to be.
Right.
Okay. So, yeah, if somebody's not being nice to you or whatever, you can't really say anything. You can't change them. But in class, we can say, right, don't like that. That's it. Time out. You can't give time out to people on the street who say things that you don't like.
そうだけどね。
Yeah, not just time out, but you know what I mean? You can say, I think you should be more like this, or you should say it this way, or you know what I mean? We can shape people in exactly the way we want them to be. So it's very lucky. We're very lucky.
そうね。子供たちまだ本当にすごくピュアで、いろんなビリーフとかまだない時にさ、いろんなことができるっていうのはね、面白いっていうか、マッシュが言ってみたいに、先生がどうしたいかがものすごく影響あるもんね。本当に teachers are real influencers っていうかさ、そういう意味でね。
Yes. Yes. Right. Okay. Now I made a few notes. I should just get them because I've been thinking about this for a while. What have I learnt from my 15 years?
なんかさ、ちょっと関係ないけどごめんね。
大丈夫。
こういう話をね、よく家でずっと2人でやってたじゃない？
Yes.
で、それをさ、今こうやって何人かの先生ライブで見ていただいてさ、
嬉しいよね。
嬉しいよね。
嬉しい。
聞いてくれる人がいるっていうのはね。
Right. Okay, so today's topic is reflections. My reflections on 15 years of working in a preschool and afternoon.
Right.
And of course, I know there are teachers perhaps here with even longer experience than me. It's possible. So maybe what I'm saying is not new. Maybe you can relate to it. Maybe you can't. どこからスタートしようか。Number one, you're very welcome to make notes if you want. Number one, if your policy is strong, your lessons are strong.
Right. That's so true.
If your
That's
policy
so
is
true.
strong, your lessons are strong.
So first you have to think what your policy
Yeah.
is.
For 15 years,
うん。
everything I've done in the classroom, everything I've said in the classroom has been guided by a policy,
Right.
my own policy.
Right.
And to be honest, I don't think I've really regretted anything.
そうね。
I don't think I've regretted anything that I've done in the classroom because it's always everything I've done and said has been guided by a policy.
生徒に重大な影響を与える教師について責任が重いとはよく言われるけど、それをラッキーと言えるマッシュの考え方が素敵ですね。
Oh, thank you. Yeah, of course it is a heavy responsibility, but taking that responsibility is easier if you have a strong policy.
ね。
And then it becomes fun.
でもそこに尽きるよね。
Right.
本当そうだよね。
Currently I'm working with I've been asked to speak with the school that I work with right now, or finished 15 years of. They've got some new teachers who are replacing me and also
Right.
one of the other teachers.
Right.
So I've been asked to speak with them.
Right.
And one of them, they're very nice.
Right.
Both of them are very, very nice. But it doesn't feel like they've had a lot of experience with kids.
Right.
And they don't know how to talk with them.
Right. それこそマッシュの最初の Hello ってやつ。
Yes, there's that. And so I needed to speak with them, particularly one of them this evening, because she came to observe my
Right.
classes.
Right.
And the way she speaks to kids is well over their heads.
Right.
So I needed to bring her attention to that and talk about the importance of having kids feel success with English.
Right.
Now,
そうなんだ
right,
ね。
having kids feel success with English. I said, what do you think this means, having kids feel success with English? And she wasn't able to answer that.
Right.
And I said, what are the 4 skills of language or communication interaction? And I was hoping she would say speaking, listening, reading, and writing. And I actually wrote. In fact, the first thing I wrote was listening and waited for the others. She couldn't produce it.
あ、そう。お
So I gave him to her.
あれ
I pointed out.
Study somewhere.
She's fairly behind, I think,
Right.
in terms of being a teacher. But so I needed to show her that listening and reading were input and speaking and writing were output. And so having kids feel success with, for example, listening involves, I said, do you speak Dutch? I said, if I was to speak Dutch with you right now, how successful would you feel? She goes, well, not really. And I'm like, why is that? Because I don't understand it. Exactly. So the way you speak with kids should be in a way that's designed to make them feel success, that they understand what you're saying.
そう。
So
当たり前だけどね。
当たり前なんだけども, she wasn't able to do that. And she said, can you point me specifically, like, what did I say? I'm like, yes, I can, because I had been taking them on. And I took a lot of them. I'm like, I'm going to ask you later, why did you say this? Why did you say that? Why are you saying this?
Yeah.
I took memos of what she'd said,
Right.
but I didn't want to like upset her or be too confrontational.
Yeah.
She's only new.
Yeah.
So I just told her, because I'm so interested in the feeling of kid success, and as I'm an English teacher, I always make notes of what happens in the classroom, what people say.
Yeah.
It's a habit. It's a habit.
そうなんです。ハビットだよね。
So I make
何言っ
notes
て
of
る
all
か
the,
全
yeah,
部
I make notes of what the kids say.
Right.
But because it's my habit, I also made notes of what you said.
Yeah.
You said this.
That's
And
it.
she was really embarrassed. She goes, why on earth did I say that?
うん。
I'm like, yes, that's what I'd like to know too.
Yeah.
In other words, please be careful with what you're saying.
そう。そう本当そうなんね。ティーチャーとコントロールがかかってなく、ただ喋ってて、なんか
Right.
わからなくて、で、なんか、ネイティブの先生なのになんか日本語使っちゃったりとか、喋ってる先生ばっかりでね、
Yeah.
っていうのよくあるからね。
Yeah. So, yes, if your policy is strong, your lessons will be strong. And so your policy, please get that sorted out as soon as you can.
うん、そうそ
And you'll find that your lessons are so much easier to prepare,
本当。
so much easier to carry out,
うん。
and you start to get results very quickly.
もうなんかさ、どんどんアイディア出てくるからね、
そう
決まっちゃえばね。
So, oh,
あ、お疲れ様でした。
小松先
ゆかり先生。うん、ありがとうございます。
そうだ、ゆかり先生。先生、長い間お疲れ様でした。Thank you. Thank you,
ポ
thank
リ
you.
シーだよね。もうさ、ずっと一緒にいるけどさ、
うん
ずっと変わってないよね。
変わってない。
ね。でも変わってないけど変えなきゃいけないと思ったことがないね。
No.
うん。
変わってない。if anything, become deeper.
うん。深くなったね。
深くなった。
もっとそうね、深くなってより具体的になったっていうか、もっと言葉がもっと整理されていってもっと深くなったね。
Yes,
それは
and
要素コンサルになってるよね。
that's right. That's a good point.
うん。
And it's been easier to analyze what I do in the
Right,
classroom.
right.
If you don't have a policy,
Mm.
it's really hard to
What to
analyze.
see.
Yeah.
What to check. Yeah.
What to check.
うん。そうね。ほんとそうね。
So. Hey, what else do we need to know? Okay, let's talk about the kids. Let's talk about preschool. I just
Right.
made a few notes. They may or may not be. Who's that?
You call me.
Am I calling you?
Yes.
I might have sat on my phone. Sorry.
びっくりした。マッシュから電話かかってきた。
I'm calling Hirami. Sorry. I just sat on my phone and called Hirami with my bottom.
びっくりした。マッシュって書いてある。はい、すいません。
はい、すいません。I've made a few notes and they're not really related to each other. Just
Right.
whatever came up, I
Mm-hmm.
made. Preschool, the
Mm.
curriculum should be monthly, not weekly.
Right.
We used to have weekly,
Mm.
a new topic every week.
Right.
I think it got too busy.
Yeah.
Go slowly with topics.
Yes.
A month is fine, and then you can go deeper.
そう。結構さ、いろんなことをさせたいから、いろんな準備をしちゃうんだけど、ディープにやる面白さっていうか、すごくあるよね。
Yeah.
なんかね、準備しすぎ、いろんなこと、これもやんなきゃ、あれもやんなきゃって思うよりも、一個のものをうわっと深くやると、
Yeah.
結構そこからまた派生的にいろんなものができるっていうのもあるよね。
Yeah.
それが本当そうだと思う。
Mind you, that was something I really only came to the conclusion on this year, even after 15 years.
Really?
Yeah, because I think because I worked with a new teacher from last year
Right.
who had so many ideas
Right.
that were really worth trying.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had my ideas, she had her ideas, and so we had so many ideas, we weren't really able to finish everything.
Right, right.
So, and then of course, you know, it could be like, well, we've got a birthday party today,
Right,
or we've
right.
got this happening
Right,
today.
right.
So we got too busy
Mhm.
and we weren't able to finish everything we wanted to do in a week.
Right, right.
So I think we should go monthly, not weekly.
Mm-hmm.
Just going on to the next one. I don't know why this is second. I don't even know why that one was first, but I'm just going through my notes. Totally all English environment is a must.
Mm-hmm.
That's for both the preschool and the afternoon school.
Right.
I still stand by that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a must.
Mm.
Because you want the kids to experience as many opportunities using English as possible.
Mm.
They've got, especially afternoon kids in your afternoon elementary school classes, they've got so many opportunities throughout the week to use Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
So they need as many opportunities to use English. Now, I'm not saying that there is no place for Japanese in the English classroom. I'm sure there are. But just remember that every time you use Japanese in the classroom, you are taking away an opportunity for English to be used. That's all.
そう。ティーチングすることが大事なんじゃないんだよね。
Right.
だから、英語を教えるんだけど、じゃあ何のために教えてんのっていうところを考えると、使えるようになるためなわけだから、だったらそれを here, now やりましょうっていう、それだけの話ですよね。
Right.
で、ティーチングで終わっちゃって、それを使わなかったら、いや、何のためにやってんのっていう話になるから、やっぱその、環境を提供できるのは先生の強みだからね。
Right.
その環境を奪っちゃったら、いや、どこでもできんじゃんってなっちゃうからね。
Right.
それはそうだわ。
So that's definitely a reflection
Right.
on 15 years.
Right.
Next one. Kids basically like anything. Younger kids,
そうね。幼児の子は何やっても楽しくやれるもんね。
no problem. They'll be
そう
all
そう
right.
そう。
Um,
言い方悪いけどね。だからどんな変な授業したって子供たち喜んでやってくれるっていうかさ。
right. Which means, by all means, be prepared to try anything and everything. We made a volcano.
Right. 火山作ったんだよね。
We made a
そう
volcano.
だそうだ。
Now, my team teacher, I must say, she's brilliant because she loves her science. And I'm not a big science person. I like
Right.
it, but I don't know a lot.
Yeah.
But she knows how to blow up things. And she used to work in the fire department in America. So, but she didn't use fire, but she does like blowing up things. So she made what they call elephant toothpaste. I think is the nickname for this chemical compound where you get something. I don't know how to make it. I must check it. And once you put these chemicals together, they go, right?
Yeah.
So we made this volcano out of paper mache.
紙粘土でね。
Yeah. Yes, which we made. Like we made paper and glued it all together. And we painted it brown. And then we put like little plastic dinosaurs around the base of the volcano. Then we put the chemical compound in the hole in the top and watched it like and just knock over all the dinosaurs. And then we like shook the table to make earthquakes and stuff like that. All the dinosaurs fell over. And it was fantastic. And the kids loved it. And we filmed it. And then we made like a documentary. Dinosaur extinction documentary.
Right.
It was really good. So yeah, the kids will like everything and anything. The kids' theories are interesting. Kids' theories, their beliefs about how things work in the world are very interesting. And so we mustn't be in a rush to
say no
to those theories. There's no need to. They can, even if their theories are incorrect from a science point of view, or from a factual point of view, we shouldn't be in a rush to correct their theories. There's plenty of time for them to self-correct and go, oh, maybe it's this way.
そうなの。だから前もあったじゃない、その地球でさ、デイとナイトみたいなさ、なんかこう。
That wasn't my experience. That was another teacher's experience. She was, I can't remember her name, but she's.
Yeah. なんだっけ、アメリカの。
Yeah, I went to, and I think Atsuko Sensei went there too.
かな?
I think I was speaking to another teacher who also went to, or maybe Yuri Sensei, perhaps. I don't know. I know there's, we are working with teachers who also went to that particular seminar. And there was a visiting teacher from America. She was amazing. Really, really interesting teacher. So sorry, I forget her name. But she had this, she said the same thing, that the kids' theories are very interesting and you shouldn't rush to correct them.
Right. そうなんだよね。
So one of the kids, one of her students had this theory about why night and day happened. And the sun was here on this side of the earth, and here was like a dark sun was making darkness.
Right. So.
And that was an interesting theory.
Right.
There was like an equivalent.
黒い何かものが
was making the darkness.
そう作ってるってね。
Right.
影とかじゃなくてね。
That's right.
そういうふうに言った子がいたんだよね。
And she loved that explanation. And so she told that student's mum. And that mum was very upset because why didn't you correct them? Tell them the truth about the sun and being in the shadow and stuff like that. And that teacher thought, well, that's not overly important for them to know right now. But the fact that they're creating their own theory about that is remarkable. But the mum was not happy about that. And then
ちゃんと教えてくださいみたいなね。
and then
よくあるよね。
the child came back to school the next day and she goes, I made a terrible mistake. And the mother had told.
そんなこと言っちゃダメだよって先生にちゃんと言いに行きなさいって言ってね。
So, 残念. Now, one of my own students actually said, it's the same guy who's now 19 years old that you were talking about.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
The same student who's 19. I will never forget when he was in my preschool class. We were talking about space. For some reason, the kids come up with most really interesting theories when we're talking about space. And I said, do you think people have ever gone to the moon? And a couple of the kids had known that, well, yes, people have been to the moon. And I said, what about the stars? Do you think people have gone to the stars? And this boy, he said, oh, no. People have never gone to the stars. I'm like, why not? Expecting him to say, well, they're too far. He goes, they're too small.
最高。
すごくない？
素晴らしい。
Yeah, which is a really interesting theory. So,
なるほどって思う。
なるほど。そう。So, I will say this about my team teacher. She does like her science, so she does like to teach.
Right.
Which is not me. So we're quite different there. Yeah. But I don't think there's a rush to teach them.
いずれわかるし。
そう。
なんかね、その正しいか正しくないかを考えて思考を止めるより、すごく自由にこうかな、ああかなって考える方がヘルシーだよね。
そう、
し、これからすごく必要なスキルだと思う。その考えにこうストッパーをしないっていうかさ。
正しいことを教える子は全然
後でいい。
そうなんです。後でいいです。
後でいい。まあ、わかるしね。それ、今知ったから何言ってるんですね。
そう、本当だ。
そうかもねって言ってる方がね。
はい。Next on my notes. Kids need to experience and develop independence, need to be given choices, and need to experience responsibility for their choices. This is also under my preschool collection of comments. Yes, the kids need to experience and develop independence. Sometimes teachers do too much for their kids. We're too nice.
これさ、チョイスってすっごい大事だよね。
大事。自由な
思考を否定された子は受け身になって正解を与えられるのを待つようになりますね。その通り。
Exactly right. That's so true.
そう。
Right. Yes, independence and choice and responsibility. Independence, choice, and responsibility. I think these need to be developed in kids from a fairly early age.
なんだろう、私もともとさ、結構レイジーだからさ、あんまりやりたくないんだよね。いろいろ、子供に。結構子供にやらせてる方がいろいろできるようになるし、私が楽っていう思うんだけどね。
Yeah.
でも結構さ、こう、プリスクールみたいなところに通わせるお母さんっていうのは、まあそれなりにちょっとお金もあったりとかさ、なんかもういろんな情報もあって、なんか、こうしなきゃいけない、しなきゃいけないとか、お母さんたちもなんか、子育てなんとかに勉強にしに行ってとか言って、なんか結構いるじゃない。
Yeah.
でそうするともうすごいもうすごく、なんていうのきちんとさせるために、もうお母さんがもう、ベストオブベストな状態を作るんだよね、子供たちにとってね。comfortable で。
Yeah.
こうバンピーロードよりもスムーズロードを作ってあげるっていうかさ。ね。
面白くない。
怪我させたくないみたいな感じでさ、なんか全部こう、ね、きっちりかっちり、全部お母さんが、ね、わかるよね、お弁当食べるときとかもすぐね。
Right. So yeah, some kids, for example, they can't open their lunch boxes or their snacks. They're like, open it, please. I'm like, no. No way. If you want it, you open it. So they're like, or they'll be resourceful and they'll get scissors. It's all right. Yeah. Now the lunch boxes, we did show them how to open it.
Right.
That is, when sometimes the lids get stuck on the bento boxes because the food has been put in there when it's warm, then they've been put into the fridge.
Right.
And the pressure keeps the lid down. And so if you open it like that, you have a high chance or high risk of like getting the lunch everywhere. So we showed them how to open it with their fork. Just lift it up here. And that's fine. But we're not going to do it for them.
結局ストラテジーだよね。
ストラテジー。
ストラテジーを教えてあげてもいいけどね。そりゃそうだわ。
Yeah. That one you could talk about a long time, about choices and experience, responsibility and independence. Hey, kids should be spoken to as people, not pets.
ちょっと、そう。こんなペットみたいになんかあった
Yeah, again, the new people that I'm working with, they don't know how to talk with kids. Hello. And these kids are like, they look at me. Right. One of the new teachers has this rather interesting greeting with her fingers. She goes, "Ooh," and wants the kids to go, "Ooh," back. Now, I don't do that, and I don't think they've ever seen anybody go up to them going, "Ooh," like this. And one of the boys turns to me and he goes, "What's she doing? What's this? What does it mean?"
なんか、かわいいっていう感じなのかね。
Yeah. Maybe it could be part of her culture. It's not an Australian thing. It's not an Australian thing. It could be from where she is from. Don't know.
大人はしないよね、でも。されてないでしょ。そのさ、ペットっていうのもそうなんだけど、小さい、体もちっちゃいしさ、可愛いけどさ、でもやっぱり一人の人間じゃない。で、さっき言った、なぜかtheory、子供たちのtheoryを大切にするっていうのもさ、子供だけどそこにリスペクトっていうか、人としてさ、関わるっていうことが大事じゃない、で、その方が楽しいもんね。なんかこう、ちっちゃいから、just a baby とか、まあ、ベイビーはベイビーで別だけどさ、やっぱりこう、歩くようになって喋るようになってきてると、それなりの、まだ自我っていうものがはっきりできてない中にもやっぱ自分ができてきてるじゃない、でそうするとやっぱ人として見てあげる方がさ、接する側も楽しいよね。ね。そう。面白いよね。なんかちっちゃい人間って言ったらあれだけど。そう。
I remember telling the kids, I was watching them, like, do whatever they were doing. And I said to them, do you know why I like you? I said, I like you guys very much. Do you know why? And they said, no, why? I said, because you walk funny. Because they do. They walk funny. Have you ever seen preschool kids walk? They'll like walk backwards or like do a little jump or like.
片方足上がる。
Yeah.
まず普通に歩かないもんね。でもさ、それをさ、マシュっぽいよね。すごく冷静にさ、そのシチュエーションをディスクライブして。
I get upset with them sometimes when they complain. I'm like, you're always complaining. What are you complaining for? Again, you're always complaining. And they're like, no, you complain. I don't complain. You complain. I don't complain. And I don't. So we have this argument.
Right.
I said, I don't complain, but I just tell you what I see.
うん、
I will tell you exactly what I see.
この英語はよくマシューの口から出る。
Yeah.
うん、すごくニュートラルに言ってるだけだ
Neutral, neutral.
ニュートラルにシチュエーションをディスクライブしてるだけだから、文句でも何でもいいとか悪いとか何とも言ってない
That's
よね。
right. That's right. Right.
そうそう
Right.
うん、
They said, you do complain. I'm like, when? And they said, in summer school,
うん、
which was like 6 months ago,
今言うみたいな。
in summer school, you put a chair onto a table, and then you complained that it was there, and you tried to blame it on us. You said, who put the chair on the table? It doesn't go there, but it was you. Right?
すごいね。
So they tell me this story. I'm like, are you coming up with the same old summer school story again? So,
でも面白いね。
right. Yes. Argue with your kids.
うん、
Arguing with kids is important.
うん、
Arguing is a good thing.
right,
Okay. A lot of people are too scared to argue.
right.
You have to argue.
ま
You
あ
have to.
そう
Hey,
ね。はい。
arguing is important. Let's go. I'm going to go to afternoon. I totally
うん、
disagree
Mm.
with the common belief
うん、
by educators that kids who only study English once a week cannot possibly become communicative in English.
そう、これは
I
本
totally
当にそ
disagree.
う。本当そう。
One more time. Well, you can explain that in Japanese?
あ、これね。
Yeah.
まあ、前も言ったかな。
We've
So,
talked about this
そ
a
う、
lot.
週1回ぐらいやったからってね、英語なんか喋るようにならないとかいうビリーフだよね。これは絶対違う。
違う。
うん。も
違う
う、でももうしょうがないね。そう、ビリーフを持ってしまったら人間ビリーフに沿って行動しちゃうからね。
Look, that's our job.
うん。できないように
そう
するのにさ、なんで預かるのって話だよ
Yeah,
ね。
if you're going to start thinking that that's
Mm.
not possible, then why are the kids coming to
うん
you?
うん。
Oh, comment here.
小さくてもすごいいろんなことを考えてますよね。
Yeah.
そうそう。
Yeah,
本当にそう。うん。
Yeah. Playgroup
うん
removed the message. Okay, hopefully we can get that one back. Yes.
そうなの。なんか、週1回ぐらいじゃダメだとか、無理だとか、いうのは、もう、どうしてそっちに行っちゃうかな。どうしたらできるかなと思ったらできるようになるし、できる方法が見つかるし、できないと思ってるからできないままで過ごしちゃって、できないことを親にも言うのね。無理ですから。そう言う。結局ね、どこまでのエクスペクトするかっていうのもちゃんとはっきりしなきゃいけないけどね。その週1回で何ができるように、どういうことができるようになるのかっていうことが曖昧だったら難しいとこあるけれども、ちゃんとそこはね、きちんと考えて、で、週1回でできないっていうのはね、何ができないと思ってるのかだよね。できることは何だろう、何って思ったらできてることいっぱいあるけどね。
Yeah.
それは本当にその通りだと思う。うん。
でね、
子供がそもそも持っている力を大人が信用できれば、その子はすくすく伸びますね。シンプルだけに難しいこともある。愛おしくて可愛く感じる気持ちは理解できます。それがペットと被るのもなんかわかる気がします。可愛いからね。
Right. Yeah, you can understand why people do it, but I don't think teachers should.
でもそれさ、プレスクールじゃないけど、前も言ったけどさ、ほら、国立研究所のさ、超有名なさ、もう名前は言わないけどさ、おじさんがさ、小学校1年生だから小学生がさ、ホーキーポーキーをさ、すごく踊ってたらさ、もう可愛くてしょうがなくてさ、言ったじゃん、ホーキーポーキーマジックだっつって。小学校もう全部がホーキーポーキーやればいいとか言っちゃった人いたじゃん。もうさ、可愛いから子供たちが踊ってて。でもさ、あんまり小さい子供たちを見たことがないおじさんのさ、研究者から見たらさ、もう顔ちっちゃいだけで、何してても可愛いんだよね。それが英語でさ、なんか、you put your right foot in とかやってるだけでもう可愛いってなっちゃってさ、ホーキーポーキーマジックって言い出した時にさ、もう私もう終わったなと思ったもんね。
はい。こんばんは。
ナム先生、はい。 英語教室のプロフィールに週1回で英語で話せる子になるをモットーにしていると明記しています。直美先生、素晴らしい。
Naomi Sensei, thank you. Excellent.
できるよ。ね。素晴らしい。素敵。そうしたら絶対そうなるから。
Elementary school students, that age group, they can maintain an all English environment if they have the motivation to use English.
Right.
Now, this motivation is developed by reinforced success with using English.
Exactly.
They will need to use English.
Right.
Their success is reinforced.
Right.
They'll use more English, and then through the motivation of the feeling of success, they can maintain an all English environment. It's hard to maintain an all English environment if the kids don't feel success using English.
Right. Right. 本当にそう。そうなんだよね。
Okay. So that should be high on the agenda for all English teachers, is to have the kids feel success using English.
So using English がキーワードだね。なんかなんていうのかな。こう、何か単語が分かったとかそういうことじゃなくて、子供のちゃんと言葉としてね、感情が乗った言いたいこととして使えたときだよね。そうね。そうね、小さな成功感を積み重ねたらどんなことが起こるかということを考えなきゃいけないね。その小さな成功感がもうすごくキーで、じゃあその小さな成功感っていうのは何が起こったら成功だと思うのかっていうことを考えていかなきゃいけないね。そう。
Also for afternoon elementary school kids, you definitely need a textbook for your curriculum.
Right.
I do know of teachers who don't use textbooks.
Right.
They'll make lessons up as they go along, come in with a new game or whatever. I think a textbook is important. I wasn't happy when I first started using one because I wasn't sure how to. あとはやっぱ。
そう、なんていうのかな。その、英語のレッスンとしてね、英語のスキルアップを考えていったら、テキストブックっていうのはやっぱりどうしても必要。いわゆるカリキュラムになっててね。で、そうじゃなくて、何か、イベント的に英語を使いましょうみたいな回だったら別にいいかもしれないけど、でもなんかね、誰だったかな。ネイティブの先生とかもさ、全然カリキュラムなくて、今日何しよっかなみたいな感じで、ずっとやってる人が言っていったんだよね。
Yes. This often happens when teachers visit kids' homes. That kind of teacher who will teach in kids' homes, they often don't use textbooks. They'll bring in ideas and things like that, activities and games and stuff. But I think for their kids' English study to have a direction, a textbook is important. It helps them feel completion.
そう。これだけやったっていう可視化できるものがあるっていうのは。
Now, 確かに it's target English, which is very different from non-target English, but it's very valuable. そう。
だ結構ね、マッシュはそのテキストブックをこう無視しがちな時期がすごくあったんだよね。だけど、やっぱりテキストブックをやるっていうのは、先生が授業やりやすいとかそういうことじゃなくて、子供にのとっていいのよ。これだけやってきたんだ自分はっていう。見える自信っていうかね。それをこう実際に自分がどこまでっていうのをちょっと置いといても、これやりきったなっていうのをちゃんと出すためにもテキストがあった方が、より子供たちの成功感を感じさせることができる。
Yes. Now, you don't need to use your textbook every lesson.
そう。
But it should be there and it should be なるべくcompleted within a year.
子供ができなかったことができるようになった時に気づいてあげられる大人の存在も大事ですよね。観察大事。観察大事ですね。
大事です。観察いいですね。Yes. We'll come back to that in a minute.
そう。
That's very important.
よく見るって本当大事ね。
The textbook, which textbook you use is totally up to you. But just keep in mind what a textbook is. And a textbook is a tool for your policy.
Right.
in the classroom.
Right.
So you should choose a textbook that best suits your policy.
うん。そうね。ね、ポリシーにぴったりあれば、それが絶対いいし。でもまあ、テキストブックも結局材料だから、先生がどうそれをね、こうクックするかはね、
Yeah.
先生次第。でも
Yeah.
先生次第だからこそ先生ポリシーがなきゃいけないし、
Yeah.
でそしてもう一つやっぱ子供は、このやり方がうまくいったから全部いきますっていうわけではなくって、やっぱ子供も変わるしね。
Yeah.
だから本当にプロの料理人っていうか、プロの料理人っていう言い方するとちょっと語弊があるのは、例えばプロの料理人ってさ、絶対いつ行ってもあの味が出てくるっていうのがプロじゃない。でもそういうプロじゃないのに、英語の先生って。どっちかっていうと、この子はちょっと、塩分控えめにじゃないけど、ちょっとソルトを減らそうかとかさ、あと人参小さめに切ってあげなきゃな、みたいな。
なるほど。
なんかそういうシェフでなきゃいけないと思う。
Yeah. いいね。
直
美先生。
ずっとテキストなしでやってきましたが、コースブックを導入して1年やってきて、1冊終わったら子供たちがすごく嬉しそうで、早く次のテキストが欲しいって言ってました。
よかった、直美先生。
直美先生使ってなかったね。
So, right, I knew of teachers.
ここなの、ここ。
Yes.
ここ。
I knew of teachers that we were working with who were also in that same situation because they were wondering which textbook to choose. They were in agreement of, yes, maybe I should start a course book, but they weren't sure which one to go or how to go about it. I'm really glad that you found success with your choice, Naomi sensei. 結構 before the course book 悩んでたんじゃない every lesson 今日どうしようかなとかさ、それなかった I reckon that would have been so hard.
でもなんかこうずっとやってるとルーティンがあるんじゃない？
I can't imagine teaching without a textbook anymore.
はい。でもやっぱね、テキストがあると今すごいいいこと書いてくださったよ。本当にその子供たちがね、次に行きたい、
Yeah.
これが終わった次って思えるのもそうだし、あとやっぱりさ、忘れるじゃない。覚えても。
Yeah.
でもあるとさ、すぐ戻れるよね。
毎回楽しさ
だけを求めて楽しいだけで終わってしまう。そう。楽しいだけじゃね。よかったな、先生。素晴らしい。
はい。have a reading program. In your afternoon classes, a program that focuses the kids on developing their reading skills. I think it's really important because once the kids can read, the other communication activities that you can put in become really interesting.
そうだね。
It's hard to develop kids' communication skills just with speaking and listening only.
やっぱりね、あった方がいいね。
Yeah,
読める方がいいね。
because a lot of the information that we have available to us involves reading.
Right.
So the sooner the kids can become a little bit independent with reading, then the more interesting. They don't have to be perfect and read, everything.
Right.
But if they can make good educated guesses on what this word could be.
そうなの、そこだよね。
そこなのよ。
精読っていうのはすごくこう、一個一個きちんと読む読み方を精読って言って、多読っていうのはたくさんこう、よくわからないけど、どんどん読み進めていくっていうのがあるんだけど、精読よりも多読の方がやっぱりよくって、きっちりわからないと、よくなんかね、リーディングのクラスで、わからないのがあったら、わからない単語をノートに書いて調べなさいとかいう人いるんだよね。それ読み進められないのよ。読む楽しさがなくなっちゃうね。でもやっぱきちっとボキャブラリーを増やしていかないとっていう風になりすぎると、本来のリーディングの目的を失ってしまうから、そういう意味でそのリーディングプログラムっていうのをね、何をするか、どういう、何のためのリーディングプログラムで、だからこういうことをするんだっていう風にしないと、リーディングプログラム一つとっても全然指導の仕方違うからね。
That's so true.
そうそう。
はい。
ポリシーのための道具としてテキストを使って良いのかというのが目から鱗でとてもテキストが使いやすくなりました。そうなの、道具だから。そうそう。
have you ever noticed that your kids may, for example, if they're coloring, they're like reading instructions, okay, color the big apple yellow, color them. they'll confuse brown, black, and blue. Brown, black, and blue. Their kids are always confused with them. So if it says blue and the kids start coloring brown, that's a good thing because they're making a good guess.
Right.
Yellow, the kids read very well. Red is fairly easy to read. Green is easy to read. Blue, black, and brown are always confusing to the kids, but at least they're looking and making a guess. Well, first letter is B, probably blue, you know?
It's a good strategy.
Itomo. Hi. So, yeah, some sort of systematic reading program. Again, we go into more detail on that in the Yosei Koza, but I think it's vital.
Yes.
Going back to, was it Atsuko Sensei's kansatsu, taisetsu? Yeah, make notes on what the kids say.
これはね、本当にやった方がいい。
Yeah, take a memo. Keep it on your desk or on your wherever you have a place for your stuff that you use during your lesson. Anything the kids say, make a note. It could be stuff that the kids practice. It could be stuff that the kids are using themselves. But just make a note of what the kids say.
これは本当にね、まあ、やらないんだよね。やらない。だから養成講座来た時やればいいんだけど、これやるのとやらないのと全然違う。
The reason you want to do this is because then you become aware of what the kids are saying.
そう。私も本当に、もういつも言ってるけど、マシもそうだけどさ、小学校とかに行って、授業とかの指導講評行くときにもうずーっとメモしてるから、先生方怖がっちゃってんだけど、もううわーって書いてるから、なんかすごい批判されるんじゃないかと思って、ドキドキしてるみたいで、でも書いてること何かというと、先生が何言って子供何言って、先生が何言って子供何言ってばっかり書いてる。だからもうずーっとペンが動いてる。でもそこから、もうアナライズできる。そう。すごくそれは大事。だからもうね、教室の中で何を教えるかっていうターゲットもそうなんだけど、教室に子供たちが入った瞬間からもアクティビティだからね。
Right.
そのさっき環境を作るっていう話もあったと思うけど。なんかテキスト開いたからレッスンスタートとかね。はい、ウォームアップしましょうとか、そうなんじゃなくて、まあ、ウォームアップやってもいいんだけど、入ってきてるところからもレッスンだから。
Yeah, if you make a note on what the kids are saying, then you know where to start from. Because what you want to do is, as an English teacher, increase it. So if you make notes of what the kids say and you count at the end of the day and you go, well, all right, well they said 9 things. Then you know that the following week, if they say 10, then you're doing a better job.
Right.
Because the more English that they can use or say, but particularly use, that means that you are being effective as a teacher. Now, you'll also notice that if you make a note of what the kids are saying, you'll know that they're only repeating after me. They're saying this because I said this.
でもそれでいいと思ってる人がほとんどだ、ね。
そう。but
でもその practice と use の違いをちゃんと知るっていうこと。practice と use の違いを知る。practice と use の違いを知る。もうそれだけ。もうね。
Yes, that's a big one for elementary school kids. Know the difference between practicing English and using English. Because if you don't know the difference,
その成功感がない、ね。
そう、ない。
その成功感っていうのもさ、私たちが言ってる成功感と、今ここ、ライブに入ってきてくださっている先生はもう多分もう分かってると思うんだけど、まあ後から見る人とかもね、もしかしたら私たちが思ってる成功感と先生が、聞いてる先生が思ってる成功感が一緒かどうかちょっと分からないんだけどね。成功感っていうのは言いにくいターゲットを言えるようになったとかさ。それも成功感って言うかもしれないし。でも私たちが言ってる成功感っていうのは、自分の思いを伝えられたとか、自分の思いをちゃんと英語という言葉にツールに乗せてデリバーできて、それを向こうがキャッチしてくれて、それにリアクションもらったっていうような、そういう成功感の話ね。だからこれ全部覚えられたとか、なんかそういう成功感もあると思うんだけど、今、マシューと私が言ってるのは、そのユースの成功感っていうのは、自分の 思ってることを言いたいときに、言いたい場所で
うん。
言えることができて、それに対するリアクションをもらったときだと思う。うん。
はい。Last one. I wasn't sure if I should say this one, but I think I will. If you suspect that one or two of your students may in fact be aliens, they could well be.
これいつも言ってるね。も
They
う
could
宇
well
宙
be.
人だって。
If you think they are Uchujin,
うん
they could be. Okay. My kids tell me, yeah, we're aliens.
そうそう。
They tell me. So
なるほど。
I don't know.
うん
Maybe they are.
うん。まあ、エイリアンっていうかさ、まあ、そうね。その私でも結構真面目に言うとさ、今ここに生まれてきてるっていうのには理由があって、やっぱこの子たちが大人になってから次世代を作る子供たちだから、次世代の感覚を持って生まれてきてるはずだと思うのよ。
Mm.
だけど残念ながら大人がその感覚がないっていうのが残念なことで。
Mm.
だから子供に合わせなきゃ、子供の未来に合わせなきゃいけないのは私たちなのね。
Mm.
だから今の私たちに子供を合わせようっていうのは、ちょっとやっぱ違うっていうか、こう難しいっていうか、うまくいかないんじゃないかなと思ってるから、常に、大人である私たちが先を向いてる方がいい。本当にそれはダメなのとか、それって本当に常識と言われてることは常識なのかみたいなね。
Yeah.
もうクリティカルシンキングをもう、やっぱり先生方、私たち大人が常にしていかないと。ね。
Yeah. I think it's important to keep an open mind to possibility.
Yeah,
That's another
possibility.
important thing as a teacher.
Right.
The possibility.
Yeah, possibility is very
But
important.
we're very, I think we do tend to limit our kids' thinking
Right.
by our beliefs.
Right.
And so we're very quickly critical
Right.
of anything that goes against what we believe.
Right.
We're very quick to say, no, that's not right, or
Right,
that's
right.
wrong. No, flowers are not black,
Mhm.
you know, or whatever.
Mm.
You know, you draw flowers like this, you know, whatever. We are not open to possibility.
Right, right.
So I think we should be for the kids' healthy long-term development.
そうね。
In saying that, it's now 90 minutes has gone by, so we should think about wrapping it up at this point. Thank you for joining us this evening. If you have, yeah, the chat box is very busy today. Fantastic. We really appreciate that because we can get feedback from you and know where the discussion can go from here. So thank you very much for 15 years.
お疲れ様でした。頑張りました。
Graduation ceremony tomorrow, and then I will be wearing a new T-shirt. Yeah.
じゃらー
I might put it on now. Can I put it on? I'm not going to take this off because this will be part of my development.
Right, right.
Right? You can't undevelop.
Right. これがあってのマッシュだからね。
そう。
これがあっての今のマッシュなので、今度は今度はこっちで見てるかな和也先生、敦子先生見てるかな今度はこっちで行きましょう。
How do I look? I look great. Thank you. Oh, actually.
素敵なシャツ。ね。
I like the color too.
Yeah,
I love the logo.
Right.
I like the name.
Yeah.
I like the font here. And I like the color.
Yeah.
And on the back, it's got, what's that say? What does it say there?
Beyond the future.
Beyond the future is written on the back. So from tomorrow and from this week, new beginnings for me, new challenges for me.
Right.
Please, thank you for your support. I'm going to be very nervous again. I think I'll be quite nervous, but it's going to be fun.
Right.
It's going to be going to be amazing, good fun, and especially when I keep my eye on the long-term ball.
Right.
Keep my eye on the long term, and it's going to be fantastic.
とても似合ってます。
ありがとうございます。
やっぱアフタースクールもね、やっぱね、
楽しい。
中学校とかまでやっぱりやらないとね。
そう。
なんかね、結構聞くんだよね、小学校で終わっちゃうとか。なんだよ、小学校3年生で卒業させちゃうところがあるって聞いたけど。
大丈夫です。未来から。Thank you.
そう。
So, if you have any questions about anything we've discussed today, or if you have anything you'd like to ask me in regard, and maybe if I
もう LINE
didn't,
で。
yeah,
いつでも。
by all means,
うんうん。
ask me, Matthew, after 15 years, what do you think about this, or what do you think about that?
うんうん。
なんかあったらぜひ、い
そうそうそう。
つでも
いつで
大丈夫
も聞いてくださいね。
です。Good night.
いやー、お疲れ様でした。
Thank you.
お腹痛いとか。本当に言ってたからね。いろんなお腹痛い、今日行きたくないとか言って、大丈夫、大丈夫、大丈夫と。慣れる、慣れるとか言って、お腹痛いって言ってたのにね、楽しくてしょうがない。でも明日がね、
そう。
最後のグラジュエーション、マッシュにとってもグラジュエーションだね。
Yeah, I've prepared my speech already. I know exactly what I'm going to say. And I'll film, I think we're filming it.
Yeah, please do.
And the kids are all prepared. They've got like a performance and stuff that they're doing. It's going to be
もうパフォーマンスは泣けちゃうね。
そうね。いいね。
泣
はい、
けちゃうね。
お疲れ様でした。Thank you very
ありが
much.
とうございました。
Good night.
また。
See you next week.
Next week. Next, yes.
Next week. Good night.